In this video, I'm going to show you how to completely automate booking clients using N8N and AI. I'm going to show you how to build this automation from scratch and give you the prompts which work to allow customers to automatically book themselves into your Outlook, Google, or Apple Calendar. I'll explain the process in 15 seconds, then I'll go over the features. I'll then give you a complete rundown of how to build it before wrapping up with ways to make it even more powerful. So what we've got here on the left-hand side is our completed workflow, which we've just installed using the template. And on the right-hand side is just a demonstrative calendar just used for example today, Thursday and Friday. And obviously we could do Saturday, Sunday and into Monday next week as well. But for now, we'll just use Friday, 11 o'clock is the time we're going to try and book an appointment for. So at the bottom left here is a demo chat screen. If you go up into the chatbot window here, you can double click it and you can choose to make chat publicly available. Turn this on and it then gives you a URL. If you copy this, paste it into a new window, then you'll get a chat window like this. And here we've got at the bottom, we've got, hi there, my name's Jamie. How can I assist you today? And then we can type questions. So we can say, hi, have you got any availability for today at 11? And then it's asking, would I like a 15 or a 30-minute appointment? What I'm going to do for demonstrative purposes, though, is I'm going to use this chatbot here. So now we're going to ask it, hi, can I book a 30-minute slot for tomorrow at 11 a.m? As we can see over here, there is indeed an 11 a.m. slot available. So let's try it. And what we've got in the system now is taken the chat, received the AI agent, it's gone to the chat model, it's checked the availability, and it's come back to the chat model to process and tell us that indeed, yes, that time is available. Would you like to book it? Please provide name and address. So let's give Jamie. And obviously this is what our clients can do in future, or we can sell this automation to other people and then their clients can book with them. And as you can see, it's as simple as that. We have now got the 30-minute meeting booked. Also, it has provided the information here, and then you've got the link right down here in the location. And it will also have emailed the person via this email account here, and it will also inform you. So this is using N8N, as we obviously can see here. It's also using cal.com for these endpoints here. And then what we're doing is we're linking cal.com in from to cal.com and cal.com then into any calendar, whether it's Google, Outlook, Apple, or many other calendars. So it's very, very simple to use. And with these three things linked together, it is very, very powerful. One thing I will say is that we're using the chat text box here as a demonstration, and we've obviously got it here. However, what we can do is we can actually add in our own web socket, web chatbot on our front end. So we can replace this here by something that's actually live. We can also replace it with WhatsApp, which is going to be the next video, or with Voice Agent, which is going to be the video after that. So follow along for more if you want to see those videos drop shortly. The fastest way to get started is to come straight over into the community. And if you go up to Classroom here and click through the Classroom, you'll see it's the latest module down here at the bottom, AI Automatic Booking Agent. Click through here and we're going to want the first module here, which is going to be the text bot. And here we can see we've got the complete N8N template. So if we click on this link, we will be able to download the template. And then if we come into N8N and create a new template, we come up to the top here, we choose the three dot, we click on import from file, and then we get the fully completed workflow ready to go. The only thing you'll need to do is come into the OpenAI chat model here, and you'll need to click through, and then in credentials, you'll need to either create your own or select your own from the list here. And you'll then need to come into these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modules, where you'll need to then update again with API keys, and you'll need to put in your API key. You'll also need to change the appointment ID. Otherwise it won't work for you, but I'll cover that more in the tutorial. We'll now jump in and we'll take it from absolute zero. So what we're going to do is come into N8N, and you can see here we've got a blank page. And the first thing we're going to do is simply click on add a first step. And we're going to come over here and add the on chat message button. So click that. Now what we can see here is the settings page. And actually there's a really cool function here, which we can turn on, which if you turn on and make chat public, it gives you a public URL. And you can click it to copy, and you can actually then start interacting with it. Hi, do you have availability tomorrow? So for now, I'm going to leave that turned off, but you can obviously add that on later and you can then test the chat. Just in case you're new to N8N, it's a bit weird that it always starts off with a massive settings screen. So all you need to do is click out into the darker gray areas at the top or the bottom, or even press here up at the top, back to canvas, and then it will get you back. What we then want to do is click the plus button, and we want to choose AI agent. We want to leave the source as connected chat trigger node. That's correct. And the prompt is going to be left as that as well. So that's fine. We don't want to require a specific output format right now. We just want to carry on, and we don't need to use the settings yet. What we do need to add in is the chat model, the memory, and then the tools. So for model, you can use any model that you want to use. I'm going to just use OpenAI. Claude is very, very good, but actually I've been testing Grok and Gemini, and they're really, really powerful as well. So OpenAI is down here. Use my OpenAI account. If you haven't already created a token, you need to come either to the plus button here or to the pencil button here. If you click that there, you can click through. You then need to go to OpenAI, If you haven't already got an OpenAI API key, you'll need to create one. You don't need an organization key. And then once you save data, that will then work. So I'm going to use my OpenAI account here, and I'm going to use 4.0 Mini. Again, if you wanted to, you could use a more powerful AI agent. You probably will find actually that you'll have a much better experience, and you need to not be as good at prompting to use a better model, but it is more expensive. It can be a little bit slower. So for me, 4.0 Mini is a perfect blend of very fast, pretty intelligent, and very cheap. Move that over here. And then going to go to the memory, and we're just going to use the simple memory. All these other memory options are very complex and totally unnecessary for the level of the app that we're building today. Simple memory. Again, we want connected chat trigger node. That's fine. Context window length 5. So that means how many messages backwards and forwards the AI can remember. I'm going to up that to 10 because I think there are scenarios where you might say, hey, I'd like to book a meeting. Then the AI comes back. Then you ask for something else. Then you clarify. So there's a couple of backwards and forwards. I'm going to go for 10. I think that's not too much to get the AI to remember. It's reasonable. It's not too expensive. And it means that there's more likely that the AI will generally remember everything. Again, you can tweak that and play with it as you want. So that's the brain. I'm just going to come up here now to I'm going to hover over the plus. I'm just going to right click on the canvas and I'm going to choose to add a sticky note and I'm going to drop it over the top, just make it a little bit larger. And I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to change the text to say, I'm going to put a brain in there. And I'm going to say thinking section. So I like to do this to keep all of my different sections organized so I can see what's happening where. So that's the thinking section. We then want to add some tools in. So we're going to add HTTP request tools here. So it's already at the top here, but if it isn't there for you, just type HTTP in the search bar and then it will come up. And then that's all we want here. We can then drag it down and we then need to populate this. So the first URL we're going to put in here is going to be the api.cal.com/v1/slots. Authentication, we're going to leave as none because we're actually going to put the authentication in later. We're going to check send query parameters on. We're going to select using fields below. And the first variable we're going to put in here is API key with a capital K. So you need to note how this is structured and labeled and formatted to make sure it's right. Values provided by, and we're going to choose using fields below. And the value we need to get an API key, which we'll do in a little bit. So for now, I'm going to leave that blank and we'll come back to that later. The next parameter we need to add is start time. Note the uppercase T for time and lowercase s for start. Again, we're going to use field below. And again, we're going to leave that blank for now. Going to add another parameter, which is going to be end time. Again, we're going to use the field below. And again, we'll leave it blank for now. We're then going to add two more parameters. Going to add event type ID. And again, using field below. And then finally, we're going to time zone. And again, we're going to use it below. And again, we're going to leave the value blank for now. We're going to come to the very bottom and we're going to choose optimize response. And we're going to choose JSON and all. Finally, we're going to come back up to the top. And really importantly, in the description area, we are going to put the following text. I'm going to paste it in, but if you want to read it now, I will drag it larger so you can see that and pause the video if you want to. So we're going to say retrieves appointment availability for a full workday window on the calendar. Use time min and time max to define the range. So we're going to add those in now. So start time is going to be curly brackets, time min, again, making sure you get the uppercase M. So we've got time min, and then we want to do curly brackets, time max for the end time. I've said, for example, to check the availability for 7th of May, 2025, time min would be 2025-0507. Now, I just want to pause here for a second. It looks slightly complicated, but it's actually not. It's quite simple when you break it down. So what we're looking at here is the year and then a hyphen and then the month and then a hyphen and then the date followed by a T for time and then the time 24-hour clock. So this is for obviously 9 a.m. a colon and then that's the minutes, another colon and then seconds. And then finally it means add 1 hour. Now at the moment here in the UK, we are on British summertime, which is GMT or UTC, hence why I've done that. Obviously, if you are somewhere else in the world, plus or minus UTC, you need to figure those in to your calculations. And I have also added in the fact that for the command, I want to make sure that it uses or is what I've added in just for real absolute belt and braces confirmation there. I've then said time values must always use the correct format. Again, I've just focused on that plus or minus HHMM, where the offset is either, or that's because we're in the UK, depending on daylight savings time in London, UK, DST or BST, whatever you want to call it. Use time slot. So this is the next reference here. So we scroll down again. This time I'm going to use curly bracket, time slot, and another curly bracket. Make sure, again, you've got the capital S there. Use time slot to define the value for event type ID as follows. So use 2418590. Now, don't use these two because these two are just demo variables for me. You will actually need to get the variables for your own calendar event. If you try and use these, it won't work because I'll have cancelled the calendar. But if I hadn't cancelled it, then you'd essentially push people towards booking into my calendar, which isn't very helpful for you or your clients. Available will be returned as free or busy. Yeah, so all we're doing here is we're just checking, is there a space at the time of which the client is asking for to book an appointment or not? And we'll scroll down again. And then finally, oops, I've spotted a typo there, time zone A, it should just be time zone. The value here needs to be region. So for me, it's Europe, and then / and then city. So for me, it's Europe/London, and that is this one complete. So what I'm then going to do is I'm just going to come up here and choose save. You can't save often enough, so really, really important to save as much as you can. I'm going to come back up here to the pencil tool, and I'm going to change this name, and I'm going to call it check availability. Now, again, you can call it different names. You can actually put spaces in these names. You could put hyphens, you could put underlines, whatever you want. I personally just tend to use capitals all the way through for each word and without any gaps. So check availability, it's fine. The next tool I'm going to add on here is another HTTP request. This time, let's give it a name straight away. So we'll call it book appointment. So if you think through the workflow, the first thing that we need to do with the client is to check whether there's any availability when they want to book. Then the next thing we want to do is book it. And then finally, we're going to get the booking information to pass it to the client so that they can then save it themselves. So here we are now on the booking appointment section. So again, the URL is api.cal.com/v2/bookings. So this one I've used the v2. This is the more up-to-date API call. The other one, the v slots, for some reason I think they do it a slightly different way, but the v1 slots works really well. Cal.com can be a little bit finicky, so what I would say is just go with this for now. Method up here needs to be changed to post, and the reason for that is in the other one, let's just go back for a second. So if we look at check availability, we can see that the method is get. That's because we are pulling information from cal.com. We're going to pull information out, and we want to understand whether there is or isn't availability. So all we're doing there is really looking through the information. In this case, we're now going to book an appointment that we're actually going to post. We're going to send information because we're going to say we want to now create something. So it needs to change. Authentication again is going to be none. Send query parameters is going to be turned on because we're going to do that again. It's using the fields below. It's going to be the name. Again, is going to be API key. And again, we want to use the fields below. Again, we'll leave it blank and we'll add the API key in at the end. Now, the next parameter we need to add on here is this one, cal-API-version. And again, we want to use the field below. For this, we're going to give it a date, and we're going to give it 2024-08-13. That is the last time it was updated. That is the version of the API we're using, so that when we talk to cal.com, it works, same. And the final parameter we want to add in here is going to be content type, and we want, again, to choose using field below. And this time we are going to choose application/JSON. This time we do want to send a body. And the reason we want to send a body is because we want to tell it what we are going to book. And again, we're going to use the fields below. But this time we're going to use JSON below instead. So click that. And then in the JSON field, we are going to paste the following text. So if you want to pause the video again, you can copy this out, and you need to make sure that you get it right. What I'd suggest is using jsonformatter.org or a similar website. If you just search for JSON beautifier, JSON formatter, it's really important you get that right. Again, if your time zone isn't Europe, London, you need to change that. And then we'll carry on with event type ID. It's going to be the time slot. Start is going to be event date time. And then we want description in quotes is description. And then title is going to be title. And that will then match up back up to the description up here, which we'll now paste in. So again, I said this module is used for booking appointment after the user has agreed to a specific time. Use these parameters to proceed with the booking. And then I've said event date time, which is the agreed time to book. Use the UTC time formatting of year, month, date, time, hour, colon, second, plus or minus, HH, colon, M. That's really important that you do that. Cal.com is a little bit finicky, as I've already said. You really need to make sure that you really force at every single opportunity for that formatting to be in place. It should have a +01 or +00 based on whether it is GMT or BST in the UK right now. And then I have gone on to say email, name, description, title, time slot. And then I've also said to define the value for event type ID as follows. So actually I'll just typo there. So we want use. And then again, just to reinforce the point, I've said it already once, but don't use these numbers. You need to find these numbers, and we'll go through that later in the video, but you must get the right numbers. You don't need the time slot. You can just take whatever your number is here. And instead you can come down here and you can choose to replace the time slot variable. You still need this first part, but instead you could just replace the curly brackets and time slot with an actual number. That's absolutely fine if you only want to give your clients, or you only want to give the people you're building this for, they only want one calendar option, which is not unusual. Some people only want a half an hour, an hour booking, whatever it is. That's fine. It's easy enough to do. Just take out this section here and just use whichever number it is that you're going to use, like this one. Okay, I think I've labeled that point enough. So now we've got two functions. The final function we want now is to get the booking information. And again, we're going to click plus on here for the tool. Again, we're going to choose HTTP. Again, I'm going to come straight to the top and I'm going to change it. And I'm going to choose get booking information. This time we're going to leave the method as get because we're only getting information. We're not creating anything new. The URL needs to be api.cal.com/v2/booking. So it's the second one. Again, we want to toggle on send query parameters. And again, we want to use fields below. But this time we're not going to send the API key in the query parameters. We are going to do that later on in the headers down here. For now, instead, we will add the following parameters. The first one is event type ID, and we will choose using field below, and we will choose again time slot. Second one will be attendee email, and again it will be using the field below, and we will choose email in curly brackets. And the third one be status, and again we will choose using the field below, and we will use upcoming. Next we want to come down here and choose send headers, yes, using fields below. This time name is going to be authorization, and we're going to choose using field below, and we're going to choose bearer, and we'll leave that blank for now, but we'll come back to that in a bit. And again, we need to add the parameter cal API version using field below. And again, it's going to be the same API version that we used for the last, which is going to be 2024-08-13. Coming back up to the top, again, we're going to add the description in. Okay, so this section now, I've just pasted it in, and it says this tool is used to retrieve the information of an existing meeting that is already scheduled. This is used to get the UID of the existing meeting so that we can either cancel or reschedule the meeting based on the user's request. You should perform a check against the event type IDs using time slot variables. And again, I'm just going to say it one more time, but these numbers are only relevant for my calendar, and I'm going to delete them so you won't be able to use them even if you wanted to book people into my calendar. Thank you very much. You need to create your own numbers. We'll go through that shortly. Don't worry. If you don't want to do this extra bit, you can just delete all of this altogether. You can take one of your appointments, only one, and then you can paste it into here, into time slot. You can just paste the coded number. So you could just take this first number if these were yours, and you could paste it in here, and then that would work for you. Finding the right codes to add your calendar into this process isn't the easiest process, so I'm going to walk you through it now, nice and simply. First thing we need to do is come into cal.com, and if you haven't got your API key to hand, you need to come and click on the settings and then API keys here, and you can take your API key. We then need to open up a new browser window, and we need to navigate to cal.com/docs/API-reference/v2/introduction. And in fact, what we actually want to do is click across to the V1 reference. All we need to do is a quick search, and we can search for slots. And you can see down here, we have get all bookable slots between a time range. We'll click into this here, and we want to now click on try it. When we click try it, you'll see here, we need the API key. And if you haven't already got it, then you need to paste that in. As you can see, mine's already here, and it will then show you the API key, the start time and the end time for your query. Now, this is a version of the time slot which you're going to be testing. So for example, if we use a time slot of 2025-05-FT11:00Z, Z is for current UTC, and we'll just copy that, and we'll do end time, and we'll do it at midday. We should then be able to send, and we should be able to get a response. So you can see here, it's actually got a 400 bad request. You need to either pass the event ID or username list. So because we haven't passed the event ID, which is here, this isn't going to work. And you're going to have the same problem in your N8N instance. So what we need to find is the event type ID numbers. Now, if we come out of here, what we can do is we can choose the find all event types under event types here. And that's what we really want to do first. So let's click on this, and we can choose try it. And then we should be able to immediately just click send. And what you can now see here is that these are the IDs that we are looking for. So there's one here, there's one down here at the bottom, or scroll up a little bit more, you can see we've got these two different IDs, and they match what we've already been putting into our workflow. So just jumping into book appointment for a second, you can see here we've got the two numbers, and you can see we've got the one ending in 91 and one ending in 90. And if we go back to cal.com, we can see here the second one here ends in 91, and the first one here ends in 90. And again, we've got a 15-minute meeting. We've got the 30-minute meeting. So again, you can see how that works. You need to take reference of those numbers for your own cal.com account. If you want to test out the API to make sure it's working, you can just simply copy this code, go back and search for slots again, click on the slots option, click on try it, and then all we need to do in event ID is paste that number in here. And now we already have essentially the first part. So before we go any further, let's click save up here. I'm then going to right click again. There we go. I'm going to add a sticky note. I'm going to do it green because we want to show success or starting the process. Let's drag that out a bit bigger. There we go. I'm going to give it a rocket. I'm going to call it a create new meeting, and I'm going to change the color to green. There we go. Cool. So we can actually test that process now. The only thing that's missing, of course, is the API key. So let's go across to cal.com now and set that up. So here we're on cal.com. It's as simple as you need to come up here to choose to log in if you're not already logged in. Obviously, I'm logged in, so you just click through to go to app. Once you're logged in, you then need to come up to the top section here, click and you want to choose My Settings. You then want to come down here to API keys, and you then want to choose Add. Click here, Add. Give it a name, so YT Demo. Expiration date, I generally set them to about a year, but obviously you can do never expires. Just be careful with that, because obviously if somebody does get hold of your API key, you're going to have to revoke it in here, and you may not realize that. So depends on how often you want to rotate your keys. Just be sensible with whatever you choose. Let's say we go for a year. Click Save. So if we click Copy now, it's copied it, and we can go back into our app, and then we need to first come into check availability, and it's simple as here, we just need to paste it, and that's it. For book appointment, we want to come in here, and I've just spotted, actually we've made a bit of a mistake in setting it up, but it's good that we've realized that now. We've actually chosen send query parameters for the API key and the Cal API version and the content type. That's not actually right. We don't want query parameters at all. So we need to remove that. We need to add send headers instead, and we're now going to use the fields below. And now we're going to have API key. And this is because we are using the V2. Okay, so a really important point to call out here. In API version 1, we want to send query parameters. In version 2, we want to send the headers. So this time it's API key. This time it's using field below. And this time, importantly, we want to choose bearer, and then we want to paste the API key like that. We're then going to add, and if you remember last time, we had the API version, so using the field below, and the date was 2024-08-13. And finally, we want content type using field below, and we want application stroke JSON. Okay, so now we've added that in, and we want to save again. And then finally on this third one, again, we're on V2, so we should be on query parameters for some things, but we also should be on headers, which is correct. So we have got headers turned on here, and we've got authorization, which is good. And we've got bearer. We need authorization is bearer space and the API key. So now we've got all three of these saved. We now need to go up to save the whole workflow, and we should now be able to test this out. And we can choose here to open chat, and you can test the chat out at any point you want. So you don't need to have any tools connected to it. You could just test out the AI chat function. I'd recommend you do that if you've got a bit more time and you aren't rushing to create this. Okay, so let's go ahead now and try and make a booking. So we shall say, I want to book tomorrow at 10 a.m. for 30 minutes. And again, we can see here that the slot you requested tomorrow at 10 a.m. is available, and indeed it is, which is good. So let's go ahead and book it. So provide full name and email. And we can see in the background it's working away. It's done its thinking. It's gone to the book appointment tool. It's come back, it's taken more information, and then it's passed us back the information. And we can see here down at the bottom, just like in the example, 30 minutes successfully booked. And indeed, we have got the 30-minute booking there, and it's booked. That's all working nicely now. Now, the next steps are to edit and delete appointments from the chatbot. Let's go on and make those now. Okay, so now we're going to come back up to the plus tool again, and we're going to now select to add a HTTP request again. This time, we are going to use a host. Click that. Now for the URL, we're going to put api.cal.com/v2 again, /bookings/curly bracket UID curly bracket /reschedule. We're going to give this one the name of change appointment, click rename. Authentication, again, we're going to leave as none. We don't need any send query parameters, but we do need the authentication. So this time, again, we're going to use field below. We're going to give it the name of API. We're going to use the field below. And again, we're going to use the same process of saying bearer, space, and then our API key. Remembering again that you need to use your API key, not mine. Add another parameter. This name, we're going to give it the cal-API version using fields below. And again, we're going to give it a date of 2024-08-13. Content type is the next one. We're going to use field below again. And this time we're going to say application stroke JSON. For this one, we do need to send a body. So we're going to turn that on. We are going to use JSON below, and I'm just going to paste it in here, but we basically have curly brace, double quote, start, double quote, colon, space, double quote, and then new date time, curly bracket, double quote, space, curly brace. And I'm going to add in some placeholder definitions. So placeholder name, the first one is going to be curly bracket, new date time, just like we have it above, and making sure again that we have the D's and the T's it's capitalized. Description, I'm just going to paste in here, but I have again explained it's the new time that the user wants to reschedule an existing meeting to. It is in the format of year, month, date, time, hour, minute, colon, second, plus or minus the hour, colon, minute again. And the type is just a default. We are going to choose to optimize responses, and we are going to choose JSON. The final thing we're going to add in is the description, and I will just open it up so you can see what I've written here. I've said this tool is used to reschedule a meeting. It's called after getting the UID value from the Get Booking Information tool. Without the UID value, we are unable to reschedule a booking. This is the placeholder. So you've got the new date time, capital D, capital T, for the newly requested date and time. Make sure it is in the correct format and offset in the UTC as per year. Where the offset is either +1 or +0, and that's obviously because I'm in the UK, depending on daylight savings time in London, Europe. If the reschedule has a 400 error, it's most probably you did not use the right UTC format as described. So that gives it a chance to try again. If it gets a 400, it's like, oh, there's an error here, something's gone wrong, probably the formatting. Try again, see if it works. Okay, so now that's all saved. I'm going to add in a little sticky note here, and I'm going to move over to here, make it look a little nicer, just so, again, we've organized our flow and we can see how it works. And I'm going to double click it to change the title, change appointment. There we go. Okay, so the next one and the final part of this process is then if we need to cancel an appointment. So again, we're going to plus here, going to come over and choose a HTTP request tool. Again, it's going to be a post method because again, we want to actually pass information and actually update the system on the other end. API again is api.cal.com/v2 again, /bookings/curly brace UI curly brace / cancel. The API key, the URL again is //api.cal.com/v2/bookings/ curly brace UID curly brace / cancel. So it's pretty simple. Authentication again is none. We don't need any query parameters, but we do need headers for authentication. So it's basically the same headers as we did for the last one I've just shown you. So again, using fields below, name, API key, gain, using field below. Again, it's bearer space API key. Add a second parameter. This one's going to be cal-API-version, using field below, 2024-08-13. This time we're going to use the fields below, not the JSON like we did the last one. We're going to paste cancellation reason, and we're going to change this to by model, but is optional. Coming back up to the top again, we want to add the description, and this is available in the community, so you don't have to type this out yourself, but you can pause the video here if you want to take the text off the screen. And again, we want to give it a better name, so we will call it cancel booking. We're now going to move over to here. We'll give it a little nice red background again. So we'll right click here and we'll choose add a sticky note. There we go. So we've now got those two added in. We shall save the flow again. Now let's test the change appointment function. So we'll say, hi, I need to move my 10 a.m. appointment tomorrow to 11 a.m. please. Let's try that. So there we go. It wants to provide my email address. So it was jamie@example.com. And you can see now it's interacting with the change appointment tool, which is good. And there we go. The 10 a.m. has been rescheduled to 10 a.m., which is not quite what we asked for. So let's try it again. Okay, it worked the second time round. And we can see here now the appointment has been moved from 10 to 11. As you can see here, I had to ask it a second time. And that is the reality of AI. It's no different to a human. Sometimes it misunderstands. It's getting better all the time, but that's the reality of it. I could have re-recorded this video and got it right in the first shot, but I think it's more important to be realistic with this. And finally, let's now test out whether or not the cancel booking works. I said, hi, I need to cancel my booking at 11 a.m. on 16th May. I can help with that. First, could you please provide me with the associated email? So here's the email. It's now going to check to see whether that booking can be found. I found the booking at 10 a.m., 30-minute appointment. I'll proceed to cancel this appointment. And it has now cancelled it. And I suspect that what's happened here, it says 10 a.m. and it was actually at 11 a.m. as you have seen. I think what's probably happened there is there's a UTC time zone factor. So it's found the right appointment. It's converted it to UTC correctly. What it hasn't done is brought it back into local time for me. So it has into the correct appointment, but it is something to be aware of. I'm going to leave that in the video. I'm going to leave it as it is because I want to demonstrate to you that there is a small challenge around time zones, and it's absolutely one of the most critical things when it comes to appointment booking. This hasn't happened to me up until literally doing this now. I'm purposely leaving it in rather than re-recording this little element because I want to show you that there are finicky little things. So even though I think my prompt has been very, very good up until literally demonstrating it now, this is the importance of making sure that you robustly test and get your clients to test as well and make sure that it really works. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can instead change this from a front-end chatbot. So you can replace this module here for a front-end chatbot. We can also replace it for WhatsApp and actually get WhatsApp connected to it. Once we've then done the WhatsApp video, I'm then going to demonstrate a voice agent where you can use exactly the same process and connect a fully working voice agent. So subscribe if you want to get a notification for when that's coming next.